Welcome to your favorite Tennessee Titans podcast, Tennessee Titans Weekly.
Ho,
Jacques,
ho.
what's up, folks? Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is your way. Welcome into the show, man. Hey, we want to first just by saying, hey, shout out to Bleacher Report for the opportunity. As well, if you're watching us on any other platform, on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, man, hey, sit back and enjoy, man. We got a lot to talk about as always. If you have not followed us, subscribe to us today. You can follow me at Lorenzo_the Hawk. And of course, we got my boy Jacques at Jacques Merrill as well, man. So, Jacques, we're here, bro. You know, off season is still here, man. Just trying to get things ready, man.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Like you said, man, Breacher Report, we appreciate you. And like you said, off season is here, trying to get everything going. They just announced training camp dates that we may attend, so just be on the lookout for that. But
Yep.
other than that, man, hey, we here, dog. So let's go ahead and get it cracking, dog.
Okay, that sounds good, bro. Sounds good, bro.
So, all right. So I'm gonna kick us off, Hawk. And we know for this season, man, you have breakout players, as they say. We had a couple
Yep.
last year. And it happens every year where you're gonna have maybe one or two, maybe a group that breaks out. But give us a player right now, then we'll go into details in more granular level of who we will break out. But give me a person that you think is going to break out this season. It don't matter if it's on offense, defense, special teams, coach, GM. It don't matter.
So if I had one player to say they are going to have a breakout season, I'm going to say running back Tyjae Spears, man. And we got that poll question out there as well. I do think, man, this could be a season where Tyjae Spears can be featured in this offense. I give a lot of shout out to Tony Pollard, who had over 1,000 yards rushing last year. And so that definitely was a good thing for us on offense. Although we still were one of the worst offenses in the league. So you can have 1,000-yard rushers, receivers, and those things, man. But if you're not winning games, there's more that needs to be done. And we really missed Tyjae Spears last year. And, a good part of it based on his concussion issues. Tyjae Spears was one of the few players that had the cap on his helmet, right? But still was dealing with concussion issues and other injury issues. But I think Tyjae Spears, when you look at his rookie season, Tyjae Spears had a hell of a rookie season. He had almost 1,000 yards in total offense. And so for us, with the new quarterback in Cam Ward, especially throwing down on check downs, Tyjae Spears could be a great offensive weapon for us. If he can do well, the Titans are going to win probably more games than we might anticipate. Spears is our playmaker. We got Calvin Ridley, we got Tony Pollard and things, but when you look at a player that's like an Austin Eckler, a guy that can catch and run the football, Tyjae Spears is that. Tyjae Spears is as a talented runner as Tony Pollard as far as running the football, but he can catch the ball a bit better as well, too. And Tyjae Spears at times can return kicks. This guy's a multifaceted guy. So I think for 2025, man, if he's healthy the whole way through, I expect number 2, Tyjae Spears, to be our breakout player for 2025. And for him to not only just be a breakout player, but a player that folks will recognize when they play the Titans to say, hey, we got to check out for number 2. Tyjae Spears is my breakout player for the year, man. What about you, Jacques?
Me is T Sweat. And the reason why I say T Sweat is T Sweat kind of gave you a sample size last year. And he was a problem when he was in the defense. You notice when he got hurt, teams were able to run the ball on us, right? And he was a good run stopper. I think he had was it a fumble or interception? One of them. It was one of them. But that was just a sample size. I feel like your second year, you gain your confidence. And I feel like he's going to be a focal point in that interior defensive line where he's going to make just more than just tackle for losses. It'll be a couple of sacks in there. He'll be a big contributor. There's also a lot going to help Jeffrey Simmons as well. But I feel like this is going to be his breakout season, to say the least. And I anticipate him, man, at least getting to the point where he has. I don't like putting a stat on it, but he's gonna have a good stats for this season, and he's gonna be a hell of a contributor. So I say Tyjae T Sweat, man, to just have a breakout season for the 2025 season.
Awesome, man. And I'll tell you this, Jacques, bro. If both of them do that, man, we're going to win some games, bro.
Oh, yeah,
And
for sure.
I think both players are pivotal for our success, man. So, hey, I agree with you about Devondre Sweat for sure. So, Jacques, so in that same breath, bro, and we got this poll question that's going to be sent out there as well, too. So, we're talking about players that will have a breakout season, right? That will. we were a 3-win football team last year, Jacques. The
Mm-hmm.
worst team in all of football. That's why we got the number 1 pick in the draft. We have a lot of players that need to step up. But in particular, if you could think of one player on this team who needs to have a breakout season in 2025, who would that be?
Man, I can give you several. I can go down the doggone list, but I'm gonna give you one, and I think he's more pivotal than the other. I think the other we've kind of gave up on as a player is Traylon Burks, but my actual person that needs to step up is L'Jarius Sneed. He's on a contract, man.
Yep.
First of all, we need him to step up and be healthy. That's number one. Number two, he needs to be out there. That's number two. Number three, he needs to contribute on the playability that we seen when he was with Kansas City. That stat line that he had where he was shutting down all those top line receivers in 2024 or 2023, whenever we traded for him. We need to see that. He needs to have a breakout, because if he has a breakout season in the secondary that allows you to be more versatile with the defensive schemes that you want to run,
Yeah.
it be more versatile with your player personnel, what you want to do. It allows T Sweat to eat. It allows Jarvis Brownlee to eat. It allows Jeffrey Simmons to eat. Because if you don't understand, you shut one half of the field down. I only have one half to work with, or the middle, or the wherever the weakest side is. But we need him to have a breakout season. If we don't, conversations need to be had. I don't, and I'm not a champion on saying, hey, if he not do this, lose his job, or cut his contract. But we're paying you all this money, right, to contribute, and you haven't. Now I understand injuries. I do get that. But again, I'm gonna go through that list of things. One, you need to get healthy. Two, you need to get on the field. And three, you need to contribute. So we need that. To me, it's L'Jarius Sneed, man. He has to step it up, man. He
Yeah.
has no choice, because we need him right now. Secondary is kind of slow, and if you don't know what slow is, that's a Nashville word. But it's slow, man. It's trash. And we're not. Let me not say that. Let me not, because people will take my words out of context. It is not trash. It is. If I ranked them, they're not a top 10 secondary, right? If I ranked them again, they might not be a top 15.
Right.
Safety wise, you still have Hooker, but at the same time, we don't know. We have what's his name, Xavier Woods. We do, but again, he's old in the tooth there. So again, L'Jarius, wake up, man. We need you, and I guarantee the Titans have him on some type of schedule, some type of routine. But at the same time, bro, you gotta get focused. I know the money's nice, but it's time to get focused and lock in, dog. What about you, Huck?
Facts, no paper, Jacques. Yeah, I totally agree with L'Jarius Sneed. He's got to get on the field, bro. It is what it is. He's got to get on the field somehow, some way. But man, I'm gonna go on the offensive side. I'm gonna say Peter Skoronski, man. I think this is a year that he needs to break out this season. Former first round pick very early in the draft. Picked originally as a left tackle, was moved to left guard, and now on him being on the left side. Now you have J.C. Latham moving to the right. Now you got Dan Moore on that left side with Peter Skoronski. I need Peter Skoronski to step up this season, man. And he trended that way in a way last year. He had some strong games, had some weak games as well, too. And when you look at PFF overall, as far as an offensive line group, we're one of the worst in the league. And you had 2 first-round picks in the lineup. You know what I mean? And so, you got a guy that is a first-round guard that's on the field. And Skoronski has the talent. I want him to get mean. I got to see him. I got to see him throw that Northwestern University look away and get a dog in him. You know what I'm saying? And so I think the Titans could be very successful if Skoronski can actually play very well. And I think they have the ability with him and Zettler, they could actually be maybe some of the better double guards in the league. You know what I'm saying? When you look at a first round pick that you got as Skoronski, and Zettler is a guy he's been in the league for a very long time. If they could be a formidable inside, man, that'll be huge. And the main reason I need him to step up is for these 2 reasons. You got a new offensive tackle in Dan Moore on your left side, and in between you got Lloyd Cushenberry, who's just coming off an Achilles injury, and we know it takes a while to get there. So of those 3 on that side, he has to be the strong pillar. It's for Peter Skoronski, and and I do think the teams are going to they're going to respect the right side in that regard on the inside, but they're going to try to see what Peter Skoronski is about. I want to see Peter Skoronski make that next step, and you spend a first round pick on him. Skoronski is a guy that's going to be in the league for a long time. It's a guy that you'll probably keep on your squad for years. So it's like, look, man, you're gonna be our guy. You're him. So we need you to step it up this season better than you've done over the last 2 years. I'm gonna say one guy that needs to step up is Peter Skoronsky.
Facts on paper. All right, so we talked about breakout players. And you gave your player. Give me three players on the offensive side of the ball that you can see that'll have breakout seasons. And again, people, the reason why we're asking this question again, we gave you one person, but I want to go in a granular level and give you a group of people, a group or whatnot. But three, at least three. There it is.
Okay, so outside of Tyjae Spears, it's for me. I think three guys that I think that that will have a big break. They have to have a big breakout season for us to win. One, I'm going to say is Chig Okonkwo. I do think that Chig has the opportunity to get the football more than he's had over the last 2 years. He picked it up very much at the end of the season last year. He had great stats at the end of the season. Not only just say catching the ball, but yak yards. Very similar to Delaney Walker and guys of that nature. Jonnu Smith, he was in that same mold. So I expect Chig to really step it up in 2025 to have a big breakout for this season. He will have opportunities, even with Gunnar Helm there. That's going to elevate him to play well, and hopefully he learns some more at tight end university here in Nashville. Hopefully he steps up in that regard. I think next is J.C. Latham. I think J.C. Latham moving to the right side of the field will be something he's more comfortable with. They try to make him into a left tackle. It was okay. I really like the fact that he played all season long. He gained that experience. He did a good job, but I'm expecting him, into next year. Early first round pick. Next year's a right tackle. That's his original spot. He's been playing since middle school. I hope that'd be something that'll be more comfortable for him. So I'm gonna say J.C. Latham 2. And then when I think of number 3, someone that could have a big breakout season, man. And though he had a good season, last year, I'm gonna say Tony Pollard. He had 1,000 yards rushing last year, man. But I like to see him catch the ball more and even get more yards rushing as well in the 17-game season. I think again, for him to be even consistent in some games. I like to see Tony Pollard stay healthy, which he was for the most part this season. But, I would expect him to have a big breakout season as well if I had to choose 3 players from offense. So what about you, Jacques?
So from offense, I'm going on the wide receiver track. I'm going actually Calvin Ridley. No, Calvin Ridley was the focal point of this offense last year, which 1,000 yards with Will Levis at the helm. And I think what the Titans are trying to do now is they're trying to get him to where he's the main receiver. And you can tell what they've been doing in the offseason with him working with not just Cam Ward, but all of the wide receivers to get some continuity with them or whatnot. Number 2, I'm going on the O-line as well. And I'm going to go on Dan Moore on the left side, right? I know we've paid, he's another contract guy that we've paid, and we haven't seen him in this division, but you've seen him in the AFC North and what he's been going against in the AFC North. Now I can get him some grace because he went against Myles Garrett in the Ravens defense and in the Bengals defense, like most of the year, right? And so the contract that we paid him, 1. 2, you're protecting our rookie quarterback on this left side, on this blind side. So we need you to we need you to step up in that place. And then 3rd, man, I'm going Josh Wiley, right? You can't never have too many tight ends. Okay. So we got a good 3 trifecta of tight ends, but he's another draft pick that we drafted with the Rand Carthon regime that, to me, he's been hurt. He's had potential, but it just hasn't clicked yet. So it's like, hey, if we can have you step up as well, not just with Chig, but Gunnar Ham also, man, you have more pass options when it per se for your rookie quarterback than you would if none of those stepped up. So that's my 3 on offense.
Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. So Jacques, I'm gonna spin that same question back your way. This time on defense. We've talked about a few defensive players, and we'll put that poll question out there as well too. So give me 3 players from the defense that you feel will have a breakout season.
So I'm going with a group, the linebacker group. Okay. And I feel like this group is right now under the radar, if that makes sense. And well, let me not say a group. I'm gonna go with one person from that group that I think is gonna have a breakout season. He's actually been showing out in training in mini camp, OTAs, is Cody Barton. Cody Barton, they brought him in on a nice contract. And when we signed him, he was like, who is Cody Barton, right? but he seems to be the one that'll be ran the green dot when it comes to being the captain of the defense and calling the plays. He's very instinctual. You can tell with him and Cam Ward going back and forth. I think he's picked off Cam like twice. So it's exciting to see that. It's like, hey man, we got you something when it comes down to it. From the defensive line, I'm actually, man, again, I already said T Sweat, but I also think Jeffrey Simmons is going to have a breakout year too. I know they're talking about contract with him, getting a new contract done, but I told you earlier with T Sweat breaking out, it's going to allow Jeffrey Simmons to break in. And I think what they're expecting from Jeffrey Simmons is they want him to be a high sack guy, right? When we had Jarrell Casey was not Jeffrey Simmons. Does that make sense? He wasn't the same height. He wasn't the same build, but he had more sacks, more production than Jeffrey Simmons. And you're like, how is that happening with a better talent in Jeffrey Simmons, right? We need more sacks, bro. If we can get more sacks, more disruption, hey, we got it. So I expect that to happen with Jeffrey this year. Another player that I expect, and he's done pretty, he actually does pretty decent for some reason. Well, not for some reason. We know why. Is Amani Hooker. Amani Hooker has stepped up in a big way ever since since his rookie season, right? And I think this year you're going to see him even step up even more because he's becoming the focal point of that secondary. You know, we got Xavier Woods, who's the veteran. We get it. But Amani Hook, I think, had 5 interceptions last year. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he had 5. I think. You can fact check me on that. But I think he had 5 interceptions. I can see that going up, especially if L'Jarius Sneed doesn't play. I think they're
Yeah.
going to use him in a more versatile way this year to kind of let him roam around a little bit, like how they did Byard, right? Because you
Right.
got Xavier Woods, who you can kind of just place right there, but you can roam him around. Then you got Kevin Winston Jr., who they're gonna try to implement too. But I feel like they want a bigger role for Amani in this defense. And if L'Jarius Sneed plays, it really gives Amani time to eat and really gives him that option to stat pack, right? To get his stats where he need to be. So that's my 3, man. What about you?
Okay. All right. So we have that poll question out there as well too. I think for me, man, I'm gonna tell you a player I really think that will be. I think he's gonna be a high impact player for us. I would expect him actually to start, even though he was drafted later, and that's James Williams, man. And I was very high on James Williams in the pre-draft. I actually had us draft him in the mock, but I'm not gonna sit there and say that I thought he'd be a linebacker. I was thinking more of a safety. But James Williams has the ability, man. If you saw the last 3 games, like James Williams was like our best inside linebacker last 3 games of the season. And I think that's going to continue to build as the season wears on. And I think he's starting to be comfortable because he already knows he already knows how to make plays. I mean, this guy made a lot of tackles in college. So him making tackles and plays is no big thing to James Williams. I think what hurt him in the draft is just he didn't run a fast 40. So what do? You move from safety to linebacker. There you go, right? So I think James Williams could really I think he ended up being a starting inside linebacker for us on this defense. So I expect James Williams to make a big leap. I'm going to say as well, too, in the same draft class made in Jarvis Brownlee. I do think that Jarvis Brownlee, who Jacques had us to draft, I think Jarvis Brownlee is a guy that, will have an opportunity really based on L'Jarius Sneed. I mean, right now, Sneed he's not on the field. So who's going to be our outside CB1? Right now it's Jarvis Brownlee. And so Brownlee withstood all the storms last year. He played all season. He was out there in the field just like T'Vondre Sweat, just like J.C. Latham. These rookies, shout out to Rand with those draft picks. Those guys were out onto the field the entire season. And so Jarvis Brownlee, I expect him to be better next year than he was this year. And it will happen because he has that experience. It's there for him. You know what I mean? And one other guy I think that could surprise people, man, that I think could really have a good season. I know you had spoken with Jeffrey Simmons for sure, but man, I expect Arden Key to do something this year too, man. Arden Key's in his last year. Arden Key has the ability. Arden Key's talented. He's got the ability, and I think it'll, with T'Vondre Sweat being older, tougher, and Jeffrey Simmons, having things that he would like to prove onto the field. That's gonna give Arden Key an opportunity to go one-on-one with some tackles on the right side, and I think on the left side, I think either side. I think Arden Key has the ability to really make plays on our defense. Again, during the season, there were certain weeks our defense was one of the best defenses in the league. And I know people might cut to say, well, it's because just based on where the field was when we were on defense, just many different things, whatever. But I will say that I do think that Arden Key could be a very important piece. I think Arden Key could have a big season this year, man. So those are my 3 men on our defense as to how I think who could have a big spotlight next year for us.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah, man. Yep. So yeah. So Jacques, man, I know you and I have talked about, when when they allow media and folks to come onto the field and things like that. I know I'm looking forward to it as well, man, and
Mhm.
things like that. So you and I could give our perspective. We can see it on our own, like everything. I'm looking forward to that, Jacques.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Me
Yeah,
too. For
man.
sure. For
Yep.
sure. For sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might do some shows on the field, like maybe like an Instagram or something like that, or even YouTube.
Right.
Just go live and go, hey y'all, this we here. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
we want to look at everything in part if they allow us to do that, but we'll see. You know
Right.
what I mean? Yeah.
Right. Now, for
Yep.
sure. For sure.
Yeah, man. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So when you think of Cam Ward, right? I'm hearing,
Mhm.
hear a lot about Cam Ward right now. I know there's supposed to be a special coming out and things, and then I'm continuing to hear that a lot of the Titan players have a lot of respect for Cam Ward and those things. So right now, man, your excitement level for Cam Ward,
Mhm.
and from 1 to 10, you know,
Mhm.
where's your excitement as of right now today, man? Where how do you feel about Cam Ward in general and just where everything is right now?
Man, I feel good. I mean, it's as expected. If I got to put a number on it, probably about an 8 or 9. Right. It's fresh. Something new. We've done an extensive study and film study, and I think this is the most I've ever studied a player. Just from every school. I almost felt like a scout. Almost in some instances, it was like Jesus. You just up day and night, just studying one person. It's insane. And then just studying his tendencies and seeing him improve each iteration. And what I mean by each iteration, from rookie mini camp to what the OTAs to mini camp, and now you going into training camp and getting the respect from your teammates and making plays and coming in doing the things that you expect a not just a rookie but a veteran to do. Veterans don't even do this to a T, if that makes sense, right? When you hear of veterans doing the things that he's doing, those are on a Tom Brady level, a Peyton Manning level, Drew Brees, an Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers when he cared, right? It's on that type of level, that Jerry Rice ish type level. Like you really breathe, eat football, right? And that's him. So we haven't really had that type of energy, really thinking, really ever, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And then to have it on offense, we've had swag on defense, like throughout the Titans tenure.
Yeah.
But to have swag on offense like because we've had Derrick Henry, who's a Hall of Famer, right? But he's quiet. We've had a Chris Johnson, who's you can argue to say he might be a future Hall of Famer on down the line, right, from what he's achieved. Um, but they're not this, if that makes sense, specifically at the quarterback level. And the Titans haven't had nothing like this since Steve McNair. Now, Steve McNair wasn't a vocal guy, but in the same breath, he took us to a Super Bowl, right? And I think people forget that when they have this big debate about him and Ryan Tannehill, because that was, years ago, who's the greatest quarterback in Titans history? And you had people arguing that it was Tannehill. The thing Tannehill couldn't do was get us to a Super Bowl. So if I had a inkling and a feeling that if somebody could do it, not saying it'll happen, but they say 5, 6, 7 years down the line or whatever, and the Titans have built a powerhouse, it can be Mr. Cameron Ward. That's how much confidence I have in him. So
Yeah.
this is high. I'm just ready to see him work. I'm ready to see him get out there and do some things. And then again, if he's gonna make mistakes, he's a rookie. I mean, it's expected, right? And I think even with Titans fans, let him make a mistake. He's gonna be okay. He's that player that will figure it out, if that makes sense. What about you, Hawk? What's your excitement level?
So my excitement level for Cam Ward, man, is extremely high. I'd say probably like a 9.5, man, out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how high it is. Because of the fact that for years, we have had quarterback issues, and even
Mm-hmm.
towards the end of Tannehill's tenure, and I'm not. Please know I'm not taking anything from Tannehill on what I'm
Right.
about to say. I'm not going to
Same
take
here.
this away from him, but I would say, I think a big portion of his success came from number 22 and number 11. And
Facts, no paper.
AJ Brown, I made a comment about AJ Brown, and I know
Facts.
people might be like, "What?" I think AJ Brown's the best wide receiver in football. I do, and I think that it's not say he might not have the most skill, hands, routes, but you talk about being dominant. AJ Brown is unbelievable. AJ Brown he can take a 5 yard hitch route and go all the way. So I say that to say that with Cam Ward, he doesn't have that luxury. He doesn't have 22 in the backfield and 11 out there. It's going to be on him. So I think that Cam Ward right now, man, we have not had a star on this football team since Derrick Henry left. You know what I'm saying? Especially on offense. And a lot of times your star players come from offense. Most people want to see offense. Jeffrey Simmons has been our star player. He's our best player. But you know what I'm saying? But you're a quarterback. You guarantee and generate points. That's what the ball is in your hand on every play on offense. So I'm excited that we finally have a quarterback that, which we hadn't had over the last few years, that can generate some excitement. Again, we got the number one pick. We ourselves advised on October 30th. We said, man, we need to draft Cam Ward. We've been saying it since that, man. We have not changed our tune at all. So seeing what he's doing, waking up early in the morning, getting his players prepared, not goofing around, you know what I'm saying, staying out of trouble, just staying focused, man. It's really all that stuff plays a factor. When you hear his former coaches talk about him, this is not a new thing. This is what he does. So it's not all of a sudden he goes from being a party goer to I'm studying, I'm reading books, I'm getting out there, getting this stuff done. This is what he's been doing. And that's why he went from a 0 star to the first pick of the draft. And folks still do not quite understand how that's a success. Like, I still felt even during the NFL draft that wasn't talked about enough. That has never really happened. I don't think that's ever happened. I think the only player I can think of that's had a low star to be the number one pick in the draft was Baker Mayfield. But I think he was a 2-star player. He was a walk-on, you know what I'm saying, in college. But I think that was by choice because I think he had scholarship offers. Cam Ward didn't have really any offers. He was a 0 star to the number one pick in the draft. And I'm very excited for him. I like to see those that they think is overachievers to succeed. And I'm happy for him, man. So I'm very excited for Cam Ward. We'll see what he does this season. To your point, he's a rookie. He's gonna make mistakes. That's fine. All players are gonna make mistakes. But I see that trajectory continue to grow. He has the ability and he has the withal to do it. I'm excited for him to be our quarterback, bro.
I got a follow-up question. Hawk, I don't know if you play Madden, but I don't know if you've seen his Madden ratings. Have you seen he gave him a 71.
Yep.
How do you feel about that? And last year's Madden ratings for Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, I think Jaden Daniels had like a 75. Yeah. Bo Nix was like a 73. And again, y'all can fact check it in the comment section. But how do you feel about Cam Ward, the number one player, getting a 71 overall in Madden? Do you care?
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. That changes as soon as the football is in the air. It changes immediately. I've seen that too. You know what I'm saying? They just going off what they think right now or whatever. You know what I mean? So, there's been players in the 70s and then by year 3, they're in the 90s. So, ironically, they had the highest. I haven't played Madden in a while. I used to be a Madden connoisseur. I played all the Maddens,
right.
But I've seen the ratings, yes. And I did see that Jackson Slater's our highest rated rookie at 75.
Yep, I've seen it.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So Travis Hunter's like 73. So I don't put no stock in. At the end of the day, I don't know if it even motivates Cam Ward. Maybe it does. I'm like, hey, make him a 65. That's going to motivate him to be better, right? So I don't really care. When the preseason starts and the season starts, all that will change. So do you have any opinions or thoughts on it?
I can always change. I can change his ratings anytime. That's the thing about Madden. The newer Madden, you can always up his ratings. Do I care? Not really, because it's just it's how they do the Titans and Cam Ward. Matter of fact, this is a perfect marriage because Cam Ward's an underdog. The Titans, they treat us like the bottom of the barrel, the trash can, which I understand sometimes, right? But this makes sense. So I don't care, but it's going to use it as motivation. But this will be the first time in a long time I probably pick up the sticks to play Madden if I can get my son off the off the PlayStation, man. He done took over the PlayStation, so it ain't mine no more. But I just want to see how he plays in the game if I ever get some time. Because we busy, bro. We don't have time to really do nothing. So it'd be nice to kind of see, but it's not a big deal, man. Not a big deal at all.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. Absolutely, man. So yeah, man. Well, the season is getting here, man. I can't wait to go see them practice, man. Is one more question for you, Josh. So outside of Cam Ward, bro, is there a player when you go into watching them practice? Is there one player you got your eye on? Like, I gotta see this guy, man. I gotta see it.
Ayon Normal. What is it? What's his name from Stanford?
Elick Ayomena.
Elick. Yep. I remember his name. Elick. I want to see him against the first team defense.
That's good call, Josh.
I have to see him I've heard good things. You know, when the pads get on, it's a different story, right?
That's right, brother.
So I want to see him and see how he looks in person,
Yeah.
see how he if he is what they've been saying and reporting. So that's
Yeah.
for me. What about you?
I have my answer solid, bro. That's Dan
Mm,
Moore, bro. I want to see him at left tackle,
mm.
bro.
Right.
I got to see it. Our left tackle play has not been good over the last several years. I mean, JC Latham was probably our best left tackle we've had over the last 4 or 5 seasons, and he's a right tackle. I want to see Dan Moore, man. We paid this guy. The NFL and a lot of reporters think that this was one of the worst free agent pickups in the league. So I want to see what he can do out there when he's going against Arden Key, Jeffrey Simmons, to Vondre Sweat. How's he gonna hold his own? Because he's getting paid very well, bro. He of all the free agent left tackles, he's one of the highest paid in this free agency class. I want to see I want to see 65 on the field. I want to see what he's about, bro. My eyes on Dan Moore, bro. For real. For real.
It's a
Yeah.
good call.
Yeah,
Good
man.
call.
Yeah,
Good
for
call.
sure. So
Hopefully, you learn
cool.
something from taking on Miles Garrett out in years. So,
Yeah, exactly. That's right. That's
hopefully, so.
facts. That's right. That's right, man. So, well, listen, folks. Look, we want to say thank you all for watching the show, man. Again, thank you, Bleacher Report, as well. Again, if you are watching us anything outside of Bleacher Report on YouTube, if you're hearing us on Apple and Spotify, man, follow us, man. Download the information. Download our audio platform as well, man. We're out there, y'all. Again, you can follow us on YouTube at Tennessee Titans Weekly. You can follow us here on Bleacher Report. We have a show every Wednesday here on Bleacher Report. And when the season starts cooking, we got plenty of shows coming. You can follow me at Lorenzo_the Hawk. You can follow Jacques as well at Jacques Merrill. We out here, man. This is what we do, bro.
Yes, sir. And when you do follow those entities, please cut your notification bells on. It'll let you know when we post any content or we go live. And again, man, stay tuned. Again, Bleacher Report, appreciate it. Weekly family, thank you for supporting us and keeping us in rotation, man. So we appreciate y'all. But Hawk, as I do every show, man, take us home, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, we hope you all have a great rest of your week as well. We hope your day has been blessed. And as we always say, and as we always do, Jacques, facts.
No paper.